Hello there, Servum17 once again. This is my Kingdom Hearts 2 Critical Mode video walkthrough. We're still in Beast Castle. We're running around with Beast at this moment in time. If you're like me, when you're with a companion, you get really pissed off by constantly being prompted to do the limit commands, and you know, you're on the lookout for the reaction commands and you accidentally activate the limit. You can go into the menu on the abilities and turn them off. That is one of the things that I did not realise when I first played. So I used to get incredibly annoyed sometimes at the game giving me a limit when I wanted a reaction, and vice versa. But in my wisdom, when I came back to the game, I realised you could turn them off, and I thought I'd indulge it to the people that might have not noticed it as well, because it's so easy to do something like that, especially if you come from Kingdom Hearts 1. That's one of the most interesting aspects of this game. If you come from Kingdom Hearts 1, you're used to the way the game works, so a lot of the things, you look at them without really seeing them. You know, a lot of the combos and things, a lot of the combo enders, you don't really notice that there's a little subtle difference to them. But if you play on a deeper level, you'll learn that. And that's kind of what I was getting at on the previous video. Somebody left a comment on my fail video saying that it's impossible to beat this game without second chance or one more time or what that other ability is. And I said to this person that you don't need those abilities, and, you know, what do you do when you turn them off? To this person, because he couldn't understand the concept of not having them on. And I said to him, you know, so what would you do if you turned them off? You know, how would you win that fight without them? Which was the question I was asking. And he didn't have an answer, because to him, his brain just couldn't get around the concept of, why would I not use them? And I am intentionally not using second chance, guys, or one more time. One of them, I have no choice, because I don't get to a level high enough to unlock it in the game. I don't think I ever unlock second chance. Am I doing this because I think it makes me an awesome, amazingly egotistical elite player? No. I'm doing it because it makes the game more interesting. Anybody can play this game with those abilities on, because it enables you to mash your way through every situation. Oh, you're about to die? Never mind, you got your life back and then Goofy healed you. You know, you're about to die, you were remained with 1 HP, and somebody else healed you. Like, you can literally press one button and win. Probably even on critical, as much as people try to tell you that you can't. And I'm always the same with games. As I've matured, I'm looking to challenge myself, even on games I've played a dozen times. That takes a handful of different forms that people have noticed. The first one is I start on the hardest difficulty available, regardless of if I've played the game a million times or if I've never played it. You know, I just got Dragon Age Inquisition, a series I've never touched, and I started on Nightmare. A lot of people said I was crazy. I disagree. That game is not that hard, but people make it out to be hard because you can die really quickly. But if you've been playing games where you die very quickly anyway, how is it any different? It isn't. It's all about your expectations, it's all about your apprehensions and your false pretenses, really. So I start on the hardest difficulties. Why? One of the questions I get the most, why? Or do you always start on the hardest difficulties? I get these questions a ton. Which is funny because somebody left a comment saying I have no fans. And I said, well, it's alright then, innit? It's not that hot in England, don't need the buggers. But I always start on the hardest difficulty if I can. The only other times I play the other ones is when I'm trying to relax, or when I'm trying to do something like collectibles or do something quickly. Some games, I think, are better on hardest difficulties, thus I'll never play them on anything under, but it's all dependent. Like, can you imagine playing Guitar Hero on anything but Expert once you're good at Expert? I know I can't, because then it's just boring as tits. It's that kind of thing. But I always start on the hardest difficulty I can. That's just the way it is. And then additionally after that, I will try to put some kind of restriction that helps me get better quicker. Because in a game such as this, I have access to a heal that regenerates, I have access to items that will heal me, and I can always farm, get more items, I can stack my team with items, I can do a ton of shit with items. I could feasibly item my way through this entire game. And there are certain parts of it where I'm going to use Cure, I'm going to use items, but I'm not going to use it to the way you can, because I don't want to. And it's not because I don't value that it's a very effective technique, it's because I'd rather die and do better than win, you know, using a ton of items. Sometimes, it doesn't really matter. It all depends on how you're wanting to play, but the objective has always been the same for me. If I take on anything at the toughest it can be, I don't use the healing items, I don't use the cheesy abilities, the god modes, the super effective equipment. I learn to play faster. And it works, guys. Because you have to learn to play or you don't get any further. And progress can be tough and it can be frustrating, but it's also incredibly rewarding. But the one thing you need to bear in mind is it's not for everybody. And that's the joy of it. Some people will hate that kind of approach. Some people will never be able to do it. But there are those who can. And you have to be aware of these different mentalities and these different philosophies because not everybody's going to share yours. So when somebody asks you, what would you do if you were to take those abilities off that you're relying on to beat a game, your question should be, I will try my best to learn how to play without them and succeed. But instead, the dude was like, oh, why would you not use them? The game's designed around them. That's what he said. He said the game was made around those abilities on critical mode, and some of the fights coming up you wouldn't even be able to do without them. I can't even get into such fucking ignorance because it makes me mad. It makes me want to reach through the fucking keyboards and hit the kid. Because you know that's what it is, because nobody old enough who's matured a little could ever put that opinion forward. And then I said to the dude, you can search in YouTube any of these words, and I did a list that'd show you videos of people contradicting what he was saying. And he wouldn't even do it. He asked me for a link. And he turned it into an arbitrary argument, because that's what the internet is. It's a bunch of people with too much time who want to be right over nothing. And it's crazy. But these people exist, and sometimes it's better to say nothing because you're not going to get through to them because they're just conditioned to live in this little simplistic dream of themselves. And it's weird. But if you want to see that, it's on the Roxas fail video. The guy was just constant, so I was like, I'm done here. This is just redundant. I can't do this. You know, there's one thing being ignorant and being told you're ignorant and learning from it. And there's another thing denying it. That's just not good. But thank you for watching, folks. You take care now.